I just saw a video on TikTok where this guy was talking about how he's seen a lot of parents, you know, complaining about how their children don't want anything to do with them, and they just don't understand why, and they're upset about it. And I thought it was really interesting because this was a guy that was sharing his perspective and said that he had kids that love him, that come to see him, that live near him, and everything like that. And he's saying basically it's the parents' fault, because if a kid grows up, at that point as an adult, it's their decision to choose whether or not they want to be involved with that parent. But obviously, there's some things that are unaddressed, or some things that took place in that child's childhood, that adult's childhood, that created that. And I just wanted to say on this topic that I feel like one of the number one problems in these situations is the parents' unwillingness to self-reflect and to be honest with themselves. At some point in our lives, we have to be able to look in the mirror and take note of the things that we have done to create the circumstances that we are experiencing. We cannot continue to run from ourselves and count on other people to pick up the missing pieces, to be okay with what it is that you have to give, that is left, that is beneath what you are capable of. If you hold your children to a certain standard or expectation, be the change that you wish to see. Be that which you are expecting. A lot of times, the parents expect love and appreciation from their children, but that is not what they are willing to give their children. It's very much a one-sided scenario. And that is the reason why these are the outcomes, where it's like, what's the point now? What's the point of trying to create a relationship that has been void all of this time? That has been absent and lacking what a dynamic of a relationship should look like. And when there is a lack of honesty and receptivity and willingness to accept reproach, that's a problem. And a lot of times in these situations, the parent finds themselves above reproach. And somebody says something very relevant to this topic. I think there's even a scripture on this where it says, you cannot correct or get through to someone who is wise in their own eyes. And this is a classic example where we're talking about parents who feel like they're entitled to have a relationship with their children. They believe that they know best. They believe that they can do no wrong. They believe that everything that they have done is good enough and acceptable. And so with that, there is no relationship, because that is not a relationship, that is a dictatorship. And that is somebody that is ruled by their ego and more concerned about being right and being accepted than being loving. So I feel like when it comes to these parents, they have to be willing to be honest, correct themselves, to be able to accept the truth. No, you weren't the perfect parent. No, things were not hunky-dory. Yes, there is room for growth. Yes, there's room for change. And a lot of times they recognize these things, but they are just unwilling to do what's necessary to create the new dynamic. And with that, the exit is inevitable. Because especially as adults who are clear thinking and who are capable of taking care of themselves and making decisions for themselves, they have the right to choose what is healthy and beneficial. And if that relationship is neither, they're better off without it.